Hey besties, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is obviously, as you guys already know, talking about all the books I read in July. And when I say all, I do only mean 4, and I know that maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to some of you, and to some of you maybe that sounds like a lot, but that's actually the most amount of books that I've read since January because I've been in a really big slump this entire year so far. So the fact that I read 4 books this month is a huge accomplishment and I feel so good about it. Now, I would also like to announce that I do think I am officially fully out of my slump, which really truly makes me so happy. But funny enough, I didn't have exponentially amazing reads this month to get me out of that slump, which is so interesting. Actually, I didn't particularly love the books that I read in July, and I still feel like I'm out of my slump. But I think a big part of that is I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to read a certain amount of books, read certain types of books for videos, just a lot of pressure on myself. And that was causing me to not only not like the books I was reading, but it was also causing me to just be so stressed out about it that I just wasn't even picking up books. So that was a big part of my problem up till July, but finally I've kind of just let go of that pressure. I'm just reading things that I want to read. Anyways, that's enough yapping. Let's get into the books that I actually read. Now, no one is surprised that all 4 books I read in July were all romance books. No one is surprised. Starting with The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. I filmed a reading like it's Christmas in July reading vlog, which was really fun to film. I read 2 books in that video, this being the first one, and I own the first 3 books in this interconnected standalone series. I don't know what the series is called. I think it's just the Pumpkin Spice Cafe series. I don't know. This is either the second or third one. This is the only one I've read, but again, you don't have to read them in order because they're just interconnected standalones. I love the covers of all the books in these series. I display them because I think they're so beautiful, and I was pretty excited to go into this book. However, I will say that I was pretty let down. I just could not connect with the characters in this book at all. I think that at the beginning of it, the vibes were good. So I started off kind of feeling good about it, but I don't know, something about it was just lacking for me personally. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that this is a 4 or 5 star read for them. Just personally was not it for me. I just struggled to feel any sort of depth in our individual main characters. I don't even remember their names, Kira and Bennett, but I also struggled to feel depth within their relationship. I feel like it just felt very physical based, and I don't know. I personally am someone that I love reading romance books, but I particularly love romance books where I feel like the connection is just so emotional between our 2 main characters. I don't necessarily have anything against spice. I have read plenty of books with it. I just feel like I have gotten to a point where I don't want unnecessary spice, I don't want excessive spice, and I also don't want the relationship to just feel purely physical based, and I did kind of feel that way with this one. I genuinely don't even remember really anything from this book except for their living room fort situation because her heat wasn't working in her house. That's really the only thing I remember. I think there were some moments in this that were really cute and really fun. I do think that the Christmas vibes and the winter vibes were there, so that part of it I enjoyed and it was fun, but I haven't thought about this book once since I put it down. I actually quite literally didn't even remember that I read this book last month, which I think is really telling. When I originally finished it, I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but then a couple days later, thinking about it more, I ended up reducing that down to a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't it for me. I do still plan to read the other books in this series because just because I didn't feel the connection between these 2 characters doesn't mean I will feel that way with the rest of them. Me personally, when I read Flawless, the first in the Chestnut Spring series, I really did not like that book. I felt like that couple was purely physical based. I didn't feel the connection and I almost didn't continue the series, and then randomly on a whim I decided to start Heartless a few months later, and that is a 4.75 star read for me. I really loved that book, and I also really enjoyed Powerless after that, so I'm not gonna let this deter me from the whole series, but this one just didn't do it for me, so I overall wouldn't really recommend this personally, but I know there are some people that really love this, so you could be one of them. I'm not gonna tell you to read it though. And then the other book that I read for that video, I also literally forgot that I read until I looked at my Bookly to see what books I read in July, and that is The Summer of Christmas by Juliet and Keith Giglio. Now, I will say I did enjoy this one a lot more than Christmas Tree Farm. This one basically takes place in July, but our main character is a screenwriter. She wrote a screenplay about how her ex dumped her just a few days before Christmas, and it gets picked up to be made into a movie. They are going to be filming it in her hometown in the middle of summer, turning her hometown into a winter wonderland Christmas vibed place in July. So it really was perfect for Christmas in July because it takes place in July. This is also second chance, and I thought this was really fun. I haven't thought about it since finishing it, but I enjoyed my time with it. I read the physical copy, also had it on my Kindle, and I also listened to the audiobook on Audible. Lots of different ways, I know, but I did kind of read it in all different formats, and I, again, enjoyed my time with this. I think that the first, like, I don't know, 30 to 40% felt pretty slow to me, but once we got to that, I don't know, 45% mark, it started to really pick up. I started to really enjoy it a lot more. I really enjoyed seeing the dynamic between our two main characters, Ivy and Nick, and just seeing them kind of start to gravitate towards each other again, and Ivy learn what really happened when he broke up with her all those years ago, and them kind of finding their way back to each other while the screenplay about their entire relationship is unfolding in front of them. It was really fun, though I will say that there was the added dynamic that our main male character, Nick, was kind of having, like, I don't know, I guess you could say a fling with the person playing Ivy in the movie. I don't really know if you would consider it a fling. They were kind of just like hanging out a lot, and she was posting with him a lot. So Ivy is seeing that, like, oh, they're probably hooking up and having this whole fling, but they really like were at the same time. But she also had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend was the guy producing this movie. So I didn't love that added aspect to it, though I will say there was no cheating involved. And also I feel like her boyfriend and the girl that he was kind of having a fling with, they were pretty unlikable, but I think the way that they were written was really confusing because you like them when they're first written in, and then you don't like them like the middle of the book, and then all of a sudden they just like completely shift, going from being assholes to being like really nice people at the end of the book. So I thought that was really confusing and I didn't love it. I don't know. Overall, it wasn't the best written book that I've ever read. It wasn't my favorite book I've ever read. Again, haven't thought of it, but I thought it was fun. I would recommend this if you are just wanting a fun book strictly for the vibes of like reading a book for Christmas in July. I think this would be a fun one to read, and I think it was enjoyable, but I wouldn't recommend it saying it has amazing writing, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be a 5-star. No, this really might just be a mid-read for you, but it's still fun, and not every book can be a 5-star, and that's okay. So I think my Bookly says a 3.5, but I'd probably just give it a 3. Sometimes when I finish reading books, especially books that I don't particularly love, I tend to like maybe rate it a teeny bit higher than I actually would if I just thought about it a little longer, because I don't know, I feel bad rating books low. Not that 3 is not even a bad rating, but I don't know, sometimes I just feel pressure to rate things higher. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, completely forgot that I read those two until I looked at my Bookly, but the next book that I read was a reread, and that is The Summer of Broken Rules by k.l.walther. And guys, I love this book. I first read this book back in 2023. It was a book club book of mine, and I ended up giving it either a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5 stars at that point in time. It wasn't a 5-star read, but I really enjoyed it. Come, I don't know, I want to say like April, May time rolls around, and I'm starting to think about this book a lot. Like my brain just keeps going back to this book, to these characters, to the story. I remember a lot of what happened in this book very vividly. I remember the main characters and the couple so fondly, and so I decided to pick it back up in July, and I could not be happier that I did, because I did end up giving this a 5-star upon my reread. I just think that this book is like the perfect summer read, but not only that, I just absolutely can't explain how much I love the way that the romance plays out in this book. It is so wholesome, it is so pure and sweet and goofy, and the kind of banter and like joking that our two main characters have with each other is so fun. I don't know why I'm not saying their name. Meredith and Whit. They're just so cute. They're so perfect together. This book is also so much more than just the romance, because we have Meredith, who is currently going through grieving her sister who died, I can't remember how, 18 months prior, and this is their first time being back on Martha's Vineyard for the summer, which used to be an annual thing, but they haven't gone since her sister died, and this is their first summer back. There's a wedding happening, there's a big game of assassin going on, and that's kind of where Meredith and Whit kind of form an alliance and start to become friends, is through this game of assassin. So there's so much more going on in this story rather than just the romance. We have have talks of grief, we have just the dynamic with her and her friends since she's been grieving, the dynamic with her being surrounded by her family, and also the romance. Also, seeing the game of assassin play out is so fun because we do get to experience the way that they take out the person that they're supposed to take out, and like it's just fun. Like the vibes are so fun. I really can't recommend this book enough. If you were to read any of the 4 books that I'm talking about in this video, it needs to be this one if you haven't already. It is just so good. Obviously, it's not going to be a 5-star or a favorite for everyone, but for me personally, this is just such a good book. I am very, very happy that I reread it. I could not have loved my time back in this setting and back with these characters more. It was so enjoyable. So highly recommend. And then the last book I ended up reading, I actually listened to on Audible, and that is Rich Girl Summer by Lily Chu. I have listened to all of her books. They are on Audible for free because they are Audible originals. And my story with how I discovered her is I actually own one of the books physically, which is The Stand-In. It's like the first, I think it's her first book. That could be wrong, but I think it is. And I ended up listening to that on Audible because I think I was doing a video where I was trying to get books off my physical TBR, and it was on Audible for free. So I was like, I'm just gonna listen to it. That is perfect. And I ended up giving it a 5-star, which I never thought I would give an audiobook a 5-star, but I loved it. And then I listened to The Takedown, which is the next one, which is in the same universe as The Stand-In, or is it The Comeback? Hold on, there's The Takedown and The Comeback. I think The Comeback is actually the second one. Okay. The Comeback is the next one that I listened to, and I also ended up giving that one a 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Then listened to The Takedown. I think I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. And then last year, Drop Dead came out. Listened to that one. Think I gave that a 4 stars as well. And then Rich Girl Summer just came out a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I ended up listening to that, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I love her writing. I think her books always just have so much depth to the characters and to just the story and the plot and like what's going on. I think is always just so fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with this one. I will say that her last 2, so Drop Dead and Rich Girl Summer, haven't been my favorite. I definitely would highly recommend The Stand-In, The Comeback, and The Takedown, like 100% over Drop Dead and Rich Girl Summer, which Drop Dead and Rich Girl Summer are in the same universe, and then The Takedown, The Comeback, and The Stand-In are in the same universe. So I definitely would recommend those 3 over these 2. Just me personally, I've enjoyed them a lot more, but I still enjoy them. I think her writing is just fun. They're closed door, so if you're someone who doesn't want spice, you don't have to worry about that because they're completely closed door, and that's something that I love about it. I just feel like she writes them in such a way that you can just feel the tension, and the banter is so good, and you can really feel that connection bloom between our 2 main characters, but then they go closed door, you know, fade to black, if you will, and you don't have to read all those details if you don't want to. And yeah, her books also just always have so much more going on than just the romance, kind of similar to what I was saying about The Summer of Broken Rules. Her books are always so much more than just a romance story. There's always so much going on in the background with the plot that we are experiencing with our characters that is super fun. This one basically follows our 2 main characters. Our main female character runs this like company that does celebrations of life. Like she plans celebrations of life for people to really honor their loved one's memory, and she ends up doing one and it goes completely bad, like so bad. But the guy ends up coming to her office and basically like ends up asking her to be his fake daughter because he found out that someone in his family has been lying to him and helped his late father pay off the woman that he used to date to not come back into his life and let him know that he has a daughter out there somewhere. And so she agrees to fake being his daughter and goes with him to their like cottage for the entire summer, and the love interest, our main male character, works for him. So that's kind of the dynamic that we have. That's kind of the plot, the scenery that we have. I ended up giving this one also a 4 stars. Not my favorite, but I just love her books, and I just definitely would say she's one of my favorite authors, especially listening to her audiobooks. I just love it. I think they're so fun. So yeah, that is all the books that I ended up reading in July. I feel like this video was pretty short and sweet. Not really much to talk about since I only read 4 books, and I'm pretty sure all 4 of these books were in reading vlogs. Actually, I'm more than pretty sure. I'm like 100% sure that these were all 4 in reading vlogs. So if you haven't seen those reading vlogs, you should definitely go and watch them after you finish this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you are not already, because we have a lot of fun over here and we want you to join the fun. And with that being said, said, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. And that is that. Do you want to set? Whoa. Whoa. Into current. Well, bye.